aesthetics and aestheticism, there's a real recognition of, for me at least, an equal recognition of honor, of prowess, of power in a great artistic mind, be it on the piano, be it music, be it art, be it illustrations, 2D, 3D, whatever. I mean, I am to this day fascinated. Even, I mean, graphic art, all of that fascinates me. That someone, again, we all share the same function, sort of at the level, at the expert level, whatever that means, right? And I don't consider myself an expert. I'll never be an expert. I'm always in the process of getting better. But at a level of proficiency where you don't have to really take the rigor and the time to try and sort of decipher, you just know the material, you can just act in the world. You know, top-notch physicist just sees it in the world, right? Top-notch artist just sees it in the world. It's like that sound, that's it. That's the next thing that I'm going to create. Or, wow, do you see how the light, I mean, at that level, you become. Remember, we said the becoming distinction at that level, and there's an actual name for it. Nietzsche doesn't explicitly state it, but I'll talk about this later. It's the idea of the vanguard, right? The avant-garde or the vanguard, the people at the edge of society that push it forward. One more step, one more step, one more step. Let's go a little further. Let's go a little further. And if you know that you're that person, then you recognize that it's your job in this world to try and just take it where it hasn't been before. But it's a pretty scary thing to do because you don't have anybody to really. It's like Michael Johnson running the 400 meters. He's racing an abstraction. He's racing time. He's not racing anybody else. He's not thinking about Usain Bolt. He's not thinking about his competitors. He shouldn't be. I know he's not. What I'm doing right now, I'm not thinking about who else is posting videos on YouTube. I don't care about them. I mean, I respect what they do, but it's about me facing an abstraction. And there's a beautiful honor, I think. You know, we've sort of lost this in contemporary American society, unfortunately. Other cultures have this sense, but there's a profound honor, I think. You know, I get a bit emotional when you really think about it, right? There's just an honor that's lost in society if you don't really try to do what you do to the expert level. I'm not saying that you are an expert, but that I am going to post these videos like it's the last freaking video I'm ever going to put up. And this is the one that they're going to use to say that's who Jason Campbell was. I gotta go in. I'm going to compose this music like this might be the last composition I ever do. And I want the audience to be bawling, crying, laughing. I want to emit some emotional response. I'm going to paint this picture like it's the last picture I might ever paint because it very well could be, and you give it everything. And then at that point, it just becomes artist among artists. It's no longer you're a physicist and you're a philosopher and you're an illustrator. We all look at each other as artists. That's art that you do. That's art that it becomes aesthetic, right? And that becomes hella deep, right? So there's an equal recognition of power. I recognize the ability that you have, and I respect that. I don't have that same ability. I will never have that ability. I can never be that type of physicist. I can't do that. But I can see what it is that you do, and I respect what it is that you do. The artist, I wish I could paint. I can do 2D figures. I can do a stickman. That's the extent of my artistic ability. Someone who can make something amazing, right? You know, and it doesn't have to be photorealistic, but you know, yeah, I see what you do. I respect that, right? So, to really understand, we're going to get a little bit deeper. To really understand this idea of the drive, not just sexual drive, but the drive, the will, the process of actualizing our being, to be technical, the process of actualizing our being. There's a bit of a deconstruction that I want to do. And it's a little complicated, not too complicated, but as I said, we're at a different level now in the discussion on Nietzsche. I think for better. I don't think it's a bad thing. I guess I'll find out when I stop talking to myself and let you chime in once I upload it. Hopefully it's not a bad thing. But to try and make sense of this, let's sort of set the stage. So this is 2. Nietzsche says the following. This is from note 254, and I'll go slow. Quote, I understand by morality. I understand by morality a system of evaluations that partially coincides with the condition of a creature's life. A system. A system of what? A system of evaluation. That partially coincides with the condition of a creature's life. Life is a will to power, right? When we saw that life, we said this before, life is a will to power. So, as I said many hours ago, I forget where it was, but Nietzsche says, he doesn't really say it, but I sort of phrased it. I wish I could find the exact video number, where this is what's the word? This is a lifestyle. This becomes a lifestyle. Nietzsche's will to power becomes a way of living. And it's not one of these sort of poppy 12-step ways of living. It really is, this book really is a way of living your life, right? A way of actualizing the potential that you have, which is power, right? A way of being in relation to others. It is a lifestyle. It is a book that is a process of describing not how we ought to live. It is just a book describing the process of living. You determine what it is that you ought to do. All that will to power does is, as I do in these videos, I make you make your own conclusions. I just show you the process. All Nietzsche is doing this is showing you the process. And it's life that's being displayed. Life is on display now. This is very important. Life, I'm displaying it. Nietzsche is displaying it. This is what life is about. Now, your life won't be like mine, right? You will not be doing the same process as I am now. The physicist isn't doing what I'm doing right now. They're doing calculations. The artist isn't doing what I'm doing right now. She is doing paintings or composing music. I am displaying life now. Nietzsche is displaying life now. Look at me live now. That's what it's about. I mean, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. Now, I said I wasn't going to get deep, and I immediately got deep. Syllogism. If, right, we're going to do a conditional, right? We're going to do a conditional. If morality is a system of evaluations that partially coincides with the condition of a creature's life, right? So, if morality is a system that partially coincides with the conditions of a creature's life, and life is a will to power, then we can draw the syllogism, right? Then morality, just copy and paste the last bit, then morality is a system of evaluations that partially coincides with the conditions of a creature's will to power. So that, and this is important, right? This next part is that's not a small thing at all, right? If we're saying, and I'm not going to write it all out because I already have it, M-O-R, right? If we're saying morality is a system of evaluations that partially coincide with the conditions of a creature's life, and we recognize that life is a will to power, then we recognize that morality is a system of evaluations. Then morality is a system of evaluations that what? That coincides with the conditions of a creature's will to power. Right? It coincides. The system, just so that makes sense, if morality, since we recognize that morality is a system that partially coincides with a creature's conditions of life, and we recognize that life is a will to power, then morality is a system that coordinates with that will. Morality is a system that coordinates with the will. Now we're starting to talk more sensically about what morality is, right? Rather than just to say, oh, well, it's just prescription and dogma, right? Morality, and we're going to get deeper, much deeper in a second, but morality is really a system that coordinates with the will, right? Unfortunately, it ends up being the case that in coordinating with the will, morality in a traditional sense sort of tells the will what to do, tells you what you ought to do. and if you rebel, you fall into acrasia. If you